What is up, everybody? Slip and Dip Podcast. We got the GOAT, the Kid, and the Big Show. Coming to you from the desert tones of Dallas, Texas. Urijah Johnson, Matthew Wells, with an action-packed, probably the best one we've had so far, Slip and Dip Podcast. We got Mighty Mouse himself, Demetrius Johnson, in the house. Pound for pound, best fight in the world. UFC Hall of Famer, Urijah Faber, will also be in here. Probably, for my money, one of the top 10 fighters of all time. And José Youngs from Sports Illustrated. We bring it to you live and uncut here at the Slip and Dip. Your boy's pumped. Headed to NYC in like 5 hours. Ain't going to sleep tonight. Man. Got a pack. Man. I'm ready to roll.
Man, this boy's hyped up over here. Ready to hit the Big Apple over there. Yeah, just for clarification, the Big Show is not José Young's nickname. We're talking about UFC 217 when we're talking about the title of the episode. So yeah, let's get that cleared up. But yeah, man, I'm excited about this show, man. Shout out to Demetrius Johnson. Shout out to Urijah Faber for coming on the show and showing us some love and giving us some great insights, some newsworthy stuff as well. You guys will hear those in just a few minutes. But before we get into those interviews, Kendrick, man, like you said, you're not getting any sleep. What are you expecting out of this week out there in New York, man?
A lot of work, grinding for that dollar bill. but I'm mainly worried about the main card. You know me, I'm a main event guy. I see it going down. I'm gonna add to my record. We got back on that we got into 2 streaks. I told you about Derek Brunson. Y'all sleeping on him. And I was so surprised that he knocked him out so fast.
I didn't see anybody.
Not you. Not them. I'm surprised that it happened that fast. Me, on the other hand, I was not. You just don't take off 2 years or sit in vacation for 2 years.
Yeah.
In the UFC and come back and be whooping people's ass.
No, I mean that's true. That's just facts. That's just facts, man. Like. Again, like the popular phrase right now, there's levels to this game. I mean, listen, age is a huge factor. Quickness is a huge factor. And yeah, Lyoto may still have all of his skills, but they're a little bit diminished.
He's made some awards. This is probably the 3rd time he's been knocked out.
Lyoto's biggest thing, everybody's talking about, oh, he still got his skills. Like, even Derek Brunson was trying to defend him, saying, he still got a skill set, but his skill set was aided by the fact that he could react so quick and hit people with counterpunches. He was ahead of the game too. The game's kind of caught up. Yeah, for sure. And what we saw what happened was Derek hit him on an exit. He hit him on the exit with a left hook. That stunned him
up in there.
So
now he got right on that chin.
Yeah,
I knocked that door.
Nasty. I did not like the fact that the ref allowed 3. It was 2 or 3 unnecessary punches because Lyoto was out. Like, he was out, I think, after the second punch, but. I can't believe I just did that. If you're watching the video, I just did the Trump thing. Oh, I hate myself right now. I've been watching too many videos of that dude, man. God dang, I can't believe I just did that. Anyways, but yeah, I'm not surprised at the result by any means, man. Hopefully Derek Brunson get another a top 10 opponent next, man. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Get ready for this Big Apple trip. Be taking off in about 5-6 hours, touching down. Be staying in Jersey, taking the train all week. It's weird not being from there to take the train to work every day. Like, it was weird. It's kind of surreal doing it last year when Connor and them was like, okay, I'm going to work and chill on the train with about 400 people I ain't never seen in my life.
Yeah.
And they just like, everybody's like in their own little military.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, people don't understand.
You even want to say hi to nobody because people go looking like, what are you doing?
People don't understand, man. Like, from us in Texas, like, we don't have, like, the subway system. Like, we don't have anything like that.
Now, you're on the West Coast. I've been on the West Coast. My other home, it's like, everybody, they'll at least give you what's up.
Yeah.
New York people.
It's a different world, man. Like, I thought, man, when I was out there in Brooklyn last year, like, I thought it was like, man, like, that's what you see in the movies. Like, that's real life out there. Like, people, nobody wants to talk to. Like, everybody, like you said, they're all in their own little world. Everybody's like,
no snow this time. Like, in Brooklyn, I ain't gonna never forget that. We got 6-7 inches of snow. Me and Matt, like, I had just came from Vegas. I came from my townhome. I'm like, and they're like, well, this is nothing. It's gonna be 14 inches in like 3-4 weeks. I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to get in and out of Brooklyn. 6-7 inches, y'all walking around like it's just like water. Like, nah, I can't do that.
Yeah, and it was like it came through overnight too. That first night I was there, everyone was like, "Oh, about 4 a.m. it's gonna start rolling in."
So you see the little snow machine, you just clear it out like it's no big deal.
Oh yeah.
They push it to the side. People just like walk around and like they wear the little Uggs up there, not to be cool up there. They wear it as a way of life.
Oh yeah, it's function. It's function up there. That's what it is. You need it. Absolutely need it. But you don't have to deal with any of that this time around. You know, you just gotta hustle and grind. Are you still doing the thing where you're going to the boxing fights too?
Ah, man, I ain't even talked to them about that. I think I'm gonna skip boxing.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple of deals on the table, so we'll see what happens. I think I might have to skip this. This fight's too much in the air.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, man.
A lot of stuff going on.
The logistics of that, of making all that happen in one night. Again, if you know, Kendrick was talking about on the last episode of trying to catch Deontay Wilder's fight, and then jet back over to MSG for the.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna miss one of the three. I can't miss one of the three. I think I'm gonna miss one of the three.
Oh, well.
But the fight I'm going to see, speaking of boxing, Anthony Joshua did what he had to do. It was kind of a bullshit stoppage, but the dude wasn't going to win, so don't know why people, it didn't affect the outcome. It just made it around quicker. Yeah. It wasn't like, I didn't see no George Foreman moment just going to come out the blue, so I'm chilling with it. Plus, we all want to see the fight we want to see. Joshua and Wilder here in the States, which I don't know, from talking to boxing insiders, and I'll be talking to some tomorrow, that's going to be very questionable. Yeah. Because Wilder is cool with fighting, but then Joshua thinks he's the A side and wants him to go over there. So Wilder could go over there and be handing him the belt, when fighting here in like Vegas or somewhere is neutral. So it's kind of like, it's going to come down to boxing politics, which is kind of like, I wish they had it in UFC / MMA, because people control their future, but then you have stuff like this when you don't know. Like, you know, sooner or later people are going to fight in UFC, it's just not on the right conditions, so it's kind of like catch-22.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you. Hopefully it gets sorted out.
Did you see Joshua stoppage? He did what he had to do.
I saw it, man. It was...
He did what he had to do?
It was early, I mean, but again, like, it was just a foregone conclusion of what was going to happen. Like, you just let it go on. Like, dude was just going to keep taking some brain damage, you know, sustaining some CTE. You know, it's just what it is. But let's do this, man. Let's get the show started. I know you guys out there listening, you're excited about our guest we have on, Hall of Famer, the GOAT, and our boy Jose Young's out there. So let's do it like this. What we're going to do is we're going to just hit him with you back to back to back. We're going to play a little music in between. You know, we'll do it that way. But first up, Urijah Faber coming at you, talking about Garbrandt, Dillashaw, Team Alpha Male, and
all that drama.
A whole lot more, too, man. He gave us a whole lot of amazing stuff. Cynthia Calvillo, man, everything. Then we'll roll into Demetrius Johnson, giving us some good insight to how he handles his fighting career, what he plans on doing, and everything like that for his present and future. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, to wrap up the show, Jose Youngs will rap to us a little bit about UFC 217 and how he thinks it all will play out. And we'll get on out of here after that. Sound good?
Holding down.
Sound good. All right, here we go. First up, Mr. No. Let me try to. Yeah, I'll let you do it. Go ahead. Do it. Do it.
The original gangster. The fighting pride, Sacramento, California. Urijah Faber. Shout out to Joe Martinez. we got a bang for your buck today. Slip and Dip Podcast. Having our first UFC Hall of Famer. Welcome Urijah Faber to the show. Thanks for coming on, Urijah.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Man, I'm pumped.
Hey, man, is this like, how big a week is this for Team Alpha Male?
Oh, man, it's a huge week, brother. I mean, I'm telling you, we just came off these massive wins for Poland, and now we're heading into the biggest title defense of our team with going against our former teammate, TJ Dillashaw, and Lance supporting home, respecting on the Professional Fighters League. It's going to be a big week.
Is this one of those weeks that get you want to go back in the cage just for the fight week and the atmosphere?
You know, I do find myself getting in a couple more practices and mixing it up, man. I get a little fire in me, that's for sure. But, you know, I'm doing good on the sidelines at the moment.
So you're getting the itch a little bit, but you're still not ready to say, I'm ready to hop back in there just yet, though.
No, yeah, I always, you know, I never count myself out, but at the moment I'm pretty content, to be honest.
Very cool. Now, obviously, I mean, the big fight coming up on Saturday is obviously, everybody knows, is, you know, Team Alpha Male, current versus former.
But you guys, are staying in the news outside of that. So I guess I want to get your input on what's been going on with the head coaching situation over there. Justin Buchholz came out and said, things have kind of shaken up over there with that. So what is going on with the change in the head coach situation at Team Alpha Male?
It honestly hasn't been that much of a change, and I think that's more of kind of it's just a personal viewpoint of Buchholz, but, what we have been able to do is hire more coaches, and thank goodness for Mountain Lion Aviation. It's been awesome having them support us, and we brought more guys on: Chris Holdsworth, Danny Castillo, Coach Joey Rodriguez, myself, and existing coaches Fabio Prado and Justin Buchholz. I think Justin's maybe having a little trouble with having more guys in on practices, etc. And it was kind of his idea to set into more of a kickboxing role. But I'd love for him to be, as a head coach. There's a lot of guys that he'll be a lead coach for, and there's a lot of guys that won't have him as a lead coach. So it's not necessarily like a shaking up. Everything's actually pretty much the same. He did take off to Alaska, and it was kind of on his time period for that. He took off and actually took a fight and came back, and things were going smoothly. It's business as usual for us, though.
Okay.
We have like 5-6 coaches in each practice.
Okay.
And we have I don't know guys we have that are fighting at the UFC now, but from Sage Northcutt, Cynthia Cavillo, we just got a bunch of new guys that are coming in from all over the globe, and it's a time when we need a lot of hands on deck.
Okay, so that was just more so.
He can call himself whatever he wants. Yeah. Head coach is still a position for him, but he's thinking more of a kickboxing role for himself.
Okay, because just reading into it, I mean, it seemed like he was like kind of upset with it. Was there like
it's a little weird. I don't really want to. I'll talk to him after this fight week and see what's going on with his head, but it is what it is. We're firing on all cylinders. It's been an amazing time for Cody and the whole team.
Absolutely.
How big a deal is that new facility that y'all got, man? It's like y'all got a new palace. I know you're a Sacramento guy. You got the new palace like the Kings guy.
Oh my gosh, man! This facility is beautiful. Every bit of the facility is top notch. From even like the counters, it's cool custom wood, and we've got the sauna in house. We've got the whole back area, outdoor area with boxing ring and 2 kickboxing. Bag racks out there, and dance studio, yoga, Pilates. It's pretty incredible, man. We're blessed.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So I do want to ask you about another kind of controversial topic that kind of came out today. Chris Holdsworth was obviously on the MMA Hour earlier with Ariel Helwani, and he talked about the whole incident between him and TJ. What can you tell us about that incident? About TJ going a little bit too hard in practice and actually concussed Chris.
Well, that was never a secret. Even when TJ was with us, he's got a bad temper. Wasn't the best teammate necessarily, but he did. He cheap shotted Chris on a number of occasions, and it was a big part of his demise. I never wanted to talk about it because Chris didn't really want to be in the drama of things, but he got kind of upset when someone asked TJ about the situation. He felt TJ was lying, which I know TJ's lied about a bunch of stuff about me as well. So it was unfortunate to it was an unfortunate incident. We know that TJ has a temper. He wasn't the best training partner, but he was our teammate still, and it was something he was always working on. But yeah, it was a detrimental thing to his Holdsworth's health, and I haven't heard what he said exactly. I knew that he was really bothered when he heard TJ basically lying about him, and that's why he broke the silence on what was really happening. His insight on what TJ was doing extracurricular and everything else. It's kind of wild, man. I'm not always privy to the things that are going on in the team because I'm one of like the, someone that is like almost like the principal, But it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Principal Faber.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he did just basically bring up that whole incident. He wanted to clear that up about TJ going a little hard and cheap shotting him. He also threw it out there that he thought that TJ was on some special supplements before the Burrell fight, and that's pretty much what he was getting at. And he did mention to Ariel that, you know, he had been silent on it because he doesn't like to get into all that kind of stuff. But, you know, that was basically it.
I mean, I wasn't privy to that type of stuff happening on the team. I mean, I heard a lot of stuff after the fact, but, you know, it's not my business, and it wasn't me in the know about it, so I can't really say in detail. You'd have to pin down one of the guys that knows the details, man. I mean, I freaking hate cheating, man. It's especially that when you're dealing with people's health, you're going out of control in practice, losing tempers, and cheap shotting people, and then to be on things. I mean, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the fight at hand. How big a deal is it for Cody to beat TJ? And what do you think his legacy will be? Because he's beaten basically the two champions, if he wins this fight on Saturday, the two other champions since the division's been formed.
Say one more time, I'm sorry.
I said, how big a deal will it be for Cody to get the win for y'all, for the team as itself, and just for his personal legacy, because he would have beaten the two other champions of this young division?
Yeah, I mean, it's big, and that's why Cody's doing this you know, putting his mind and his heart into this thing is not to be a one-time champion, it's to be a legend and go down in history and do it like no one else has done it. You know, all the things that great champions do. You know, he's got some great mentors out there. He's actually become real close with Mike Tyson, who's seen ups and downs and been on top of the world and understands how fickle the world is. So there's a real focus for him to really rein in and make a statement and continue to hold the belt for a long time. So it's a tough sport, man. Every fight is going to be a barn burner. You're dealing with the best people on the planet. You know, I know TJ's so competitive, and he's been working his butt off, and he's going to go in there and bring a fight to Cody. But that's a perfect scenario for Cody, man. The guy shines when the heat's on.
Absolutely.
How's the back injury that Cody had? Because it's kind of hard to come back and like get your back cut on and just come back and just be knocking people out. And what do y'all do to keep him under control during the week? Because we know how Cody can go at any minute. He, as we like to say in the streets, he's about that life.
He is about that life, man. You know, for him, it's been intensity, under control, knowing when to push it, knowing when to scale back. You know, it's a real fine line between, you know, going overboard and pushing yourself to the limit. So we're finding that as a team, as a coaching staff. He's engaged as an individual, and he's done a great job of staying healthy amidst, you know, really pushing himself into championship form.
Was he able to get through the camp without any issues with the back? Like, was he good throughout the camp?
Oh, absolutely. It was. I mean, the reason he took so much time off is making sure that he was 100% before he came back. You know, what you don't want to do is go in half-cocked to any competition, but especially for the world title on the biggest stage, you know, there's some real emotion involved. You know, he made sure that he was firing on all cylinders before we embarked on an 8 to 9 week camp.
Will we see you cornering people more at some of the bigger cards going forward?
Yeah, I probably will. You know, we really have an amazing crew between the veterans of the UFC on our team, like myself, Chris Holdsworth, Justin Buckles, Danny Castillo. You know, on top of the existing coaches that have been here for years, Joey Rodriguez, Fabio Prado, Dustin Akbari. We've got Philippe Baraggio. We've got, you know, so many guest coaches that come in and help us out, men that are on the team, like, you know, Owen Carr and Mario Soto, and the list goes on. We've got a lot of talent and a lot of guys to help with that. I'll definitely be stepping in. I'm going to be cornering Sage Northcutt. I've really been working with him a lot since he's been here. We have a real good, you know, kind of similar mentalities in life, and the holes that he has in his game. I'm really being able to fill those in for him. So I'll be cornering him in a few weeks, and I'll be cornering. I'm also going to be cornering Lance, but I'm really looking for my coaches to step up and be doing a lot of the coaching as well. You know, Justin will still be there, and Holdsworth and Danny and Fabio and you know, all Joey, and the list goes on.
Awesome. Uriah, I want to get your opinion on what happened this past weekend with out in Brazil with Colby Covington and the way he addressed the crowd out there. Do you think that's something that, you know, the UFC should step in and issue out a punishment, or is that just a guy, you know, doing some self-promotion and maybe some people are taking it the wrong way?
You know, I watched it in a loud area, so I didn't actually hear what he said exactly. What did he say?
He said something about, I forget the exact quote, but it was something about, you know, Brazilians being filthy animals and something along those lines. But he was being very critical, and then of course after the fight, he said to kind of defend himself. You know, he didn't really apologize for anything, but he was like, they get to chant, you know, you're gonna die, but I call them filthy animals, and everybody goes crazy. So he kind of apologized, but didn't at the same time. But you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I know Colby,
Mm-hmm.
and he seems like a nice guy. It's always hard to generalize an entire country, so I'd assume that he's doing it for publicity. We've seen guys like Chael Sonnen. I mean, Chael Sonnen took it to the nth degree. He said that he was surprised that the Brazilians had internet, and he said the Nogueira brothers thought a bus was a donkey, and they tried to feed it a carrot.
Yeah.
I mean, and the list goes on and stuff. And you know, Chael's one of the nicest, kindest guys, most you know, honest and well-behaved dudes outside of his persona. So you know, it's interesting. I don't know. Colby's always been cool, and I'm curious to hear, you know, when I talk to him, what his real perspective is.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit like he's kind of forcing it, though. I mean, I don't know. I could be reading that wrong. I haven't met him in person yet, but I've met Chael, and I agree with you. With Chael definitely plays the part, but he's a little bit more believable when he does it for whatever reason.
I don't know. I like I said, I got to watch it again. I heard something about that, but I had a house full of people, and I was entertaining plus watching the fight. So
yeah,
we had a big send off for Cody and Lance and celebration for Feely and Emmett. So I was talking for the most part.
Gotcha.
So when you get time to yourself, man, how's your schedule look like day to day? It seems like you're more busy now in retired mode than you were when you were a fighter.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my schedule, it's always been jam-packed. My MO, I've always been a guy that is juggling a lot, which, you know, I enjoy, or I'm just used to. I don't know if I enjoy it, that's what I'm familiar with. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been doing a lot of stuff, from, you know, splitting time with parents to modeling, to acting, to being an athlete, to doing schoolwork, and I mean, just into junior high and high school, being a student athlete and having a job, and college the same boat. So I'm just used to being busy. That's kind of how I operate. That's how I feel the best. And you know, this next phase has been just non-stop action for me. I'll be on the road. I'm leaving on Wednesday morning. I'm going to D.C. to see to corner Lance Palmer. Then I'm going to New York to support Cody Garbrandt. Then I'm going to home for a couple days. Then I'm going with Sage and Clay Guida out to Wisconsin or something like that. And then I'm going one day in Ohio, and then I come back for a week, and then I go to China. So with the UFC. So it's been a lot of that on top of just running my businesses at home and being a mentor to the next generation and trying to have fun.
Yeah, we know you always have a good time when you're doing stuff. How much fun did you have doing the Snoop podcast for the Dana White Contender Series? And on your business fronts, how's Torque doing? I know I watched the Real Road Rules Challenge, and I see your boy TJ Lavin. He's like a walking billboard for Torque.
Yeah, we're doing good, man. It's you know, we got this new Cody Garbrandt shirt that's out. We're just rolling out an athlete an athlete program where we're getting behind brand ambassadors and start pushing stuff, we've always had to think outside the box. Reebok kind of took over the UFC space and enjoying, having our own brand and kicking butt.
What about the Snoopcast? How was that?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Snoop's a G. I don't know if he did any damage with, his Instagram stories and some of the stuff he says, but I had a great time getting to know the guy and being side by side, watching him and his interpretation of a fight game, which, was funny because it was offending some people, but, I mean, the whole purpose was to hear what Snoop is thinking during a fight. It's not because he's the expert necessarily. I was there more for the expert take, but it was fun to be with him. The guy holds no punches. He doesn't hold back on what he's thinking, and that's kind of what made it so unique. Plus, he's smoking blunts and sipping on some gin and juice, just laid back, minding our money.
What's your funniest Snoop story?
What's that?
What's your funniest Snoop story?
Oh man, Snoop. I mean, there's all sorts of stories with Snoop, but I think the best stuff is when he's doing his moves, because every man out there believes he can defend himself. So I got him in the cage. He took his shirt off and did some Snoop offense, some spinning, jumping, flying squirrel kicks and stuff like that. That was pretty funny, and then we started naming all the different moves after him.
Oh goodness, I can only imagine what that looked like. Why didn't y'all get video of this?
I did it somewhere back on my Instagram story. You can check it out.
All right, I'll go check it out for sure. But yeah, it seemed like that was, his commentary was somewhat polarizing. I mean, on the surface, people should have understood what it was supposed to be. Like you said, it's supposed to just be him, and you kind of tagging along to kind of keep it somewhat in a reasonable space. But,
the guy's known for just saying what he's feeling.
Yeah.
He would say things, but also show respect, and he's just talking like he would be talking if he was sitting there watching fights. And it's funny, his knowledge of the game actually got pretty good, especially towards the end. He was identifying a lot of the stuff and getting better at it. And then he'd have to, all the guys want to see him afterwards. So it was like realizing, like, oh crap, these people are putting their heart and souls out there. So, it was an awesome experience.
I think my favorite part about it was as the episodes would go on, the inebriation started to show a little bit more and more. But tell me, how's your girl Cynthia doing? I know she's getting ready for a big fight against Carla Esparza.
Man, Cynthia's a grinder. She's one of those fighters that you have to remind to take a break on occasion. She's always in the gym, even if she's not training. She's around watching or working on something individually, and she's been doing great, man. She's got that intensity that you need to have to be a champion, so we're excited for her.
How's y'all women's stable look like? Because, of course, Paige was the face for a little while, and Cynthia, I won't say she came out the blue, but I saw her up here at a legacy fight around Valentine's, and here it is at the end of the year, and she's almost a step from fighting the world champion in 2018, just like that.
Our women's stable is getting good. We've got Jamie, what's her name? Jamie's last name, I'm trying to remember her last name, but she just moved out here. She's a 115 pounder.
Jamie Moyle?
That fights in the UFC. She's
Jamie Moyle.
She moved out from, I think, Jackson's originally. I can't remember. But she's been kicking butt. We just had a couple other young girls that came out from overseas. They're really good from the UK and from Ukraine, and the women's stable is on the up and up. We've got a couple of college wrestlers that just joined the team as well. And but Cynthia, it seems like she came out of the blue for a couple of reasons. First off, she kept breaking her arm. She broke her arm 3 times in a row in the same spot. And so that put her out for a while. And on top of it, she was a 25-pounder for a long time. And she was wanting to get this amateur title, but she kept arm, and then she was fighting 125, and then she finally decided to go down to 115. But we all knew in the room what a killer she was and what a talent she was. So for her to shine, I mean, it was just a matter of time, really, and it had to be in place. And she went on a local street that saw her just taking girls out, and then short notice fights in the UFC and capitalized. She's a force to be reckoned with.
Very cool. Very cool. I look forward to that fight. She's exciting to watch. It's been fun to see her her rise in the UFC thus far. I think she'll definitely be in a title fight in the coming year. But tell me this, Urijah. So regardless of what happens on Saturday, is it going to be handshakes all around, or how's it going to be? Is there going to be tension between the TJ and Dwayne? What's it going to be like?
I don't really care about those guys. I just mentioned TJ in an event. Dwayne, that guy's a mess, bro.
Well, why is he a mess, right?
I don't even. I mean, it doesn't really. You guys are to me, so whatever it is with him, I'm not even gonna acknowledge the guy, to be honest. Yeah, it is what it is. TJ right now, I'm not exactly sure. I know he's been moving around camps, and he's kind of putting together a little team of guys with, a bunch of guys that are good friends with me as well. He's got a great conditioning coach out there in Southern California. I think he's left Denver. He's just recently started working with Mark Munoz, who's one of my very good friends, somebody that I got in the sport, who's an original Team Alpha Male guy as well. He's got a Juan Archuleta that I've known since he was a little kid from the wrestling world. And so he's kind of, makeshifting another team that has some roots with our team, which is interesting and actually kind of smart. What happened is he got sold off, and then they stopped paying him or shut down or whatever, and he had to go find, a new scenario. Kind of shot himself in the foot, but he's making the best of it, and Cody's gonna whoop him.
Would it be satisfying personally if he gets the KO, or as long as y'all here and still on Saturday night?
And still's what we're looking for, but I know Cody's looking for the knockout. And I bet TJ's looking for the knockout too.
How much?
Once he catches a couple of heaters.
how much of the familiarity you think, since that was such a long time ago, that it won't mean nothing?
Oh no! Oh man! I just watched a bunch of TJ's old fights. He learned how to fight from our team. Master Tom, master trainer, trained 4 or 5 WBO boxing world champions. He was a trainer for Bo Cow, Corporal Brook. Trained me, trained Chad, trained Joseph, trained Danny, trained Justin, trained TJ. Lived with TJ. TJ used to drive around everywhere. We know TJ like the back of our hands. I mean, and also Dwayne, he was with us for a year, and we know his stuff too. But we know TJ. I mean, TJ lives in my house and was on our team, and we know him really well. So what we can say absolutely is he's going to come for war. He'll go to the bitter end. But I mean, familiarity is important. I don't think he's familiar with Cody the way we're familiar with him, because he only got a short stint with Cody, and Cody at that time was already putting hands on him in practice and getting the edge in practice. So Cody's changed. He's morphed. He's better. I mean, you saw him against Dominic Cruz, and that's our champion.
Cool. Well, I wish you guys the best of luck on Saturday. Obviously, I mean, big fights, 3 title fights. You have any opinion on what's going to happen in the other 2?
You know what? I feel like Bisping has been staying the course. Are you saying the other 2 fights?
Yeah, the other 2 title fights, yeah.
I feel like Bisping's been staying the course, and I know from experience, being consistent and staying ready, constantly improving, has been my recipe for success. I know it's been the same for guys like Danny Castillo. I mean, he and I were both guys that were in high school, pretty good wrestlers in college, and then, kept on the course, and made some big waves in the MMA world. And I feel like that's Bisping's thing. He's stayed consistent, kept on guy. He's the current champ. So obviously GSP is an amazing fighter, and he's got a very good chance to win. But I just feel like Bisping, it's his time.
Very cool. What about Joanna and Rose?
Yeah, I think Joanna's champ. I think she's got that mentality that we've seen some great performances from Rose, and she's very, very tough. Made some big improvements, I think, both mentally and as a fighter. But Joanna's just got that championship mentality that hasn't wavered, and she's another one that's as consistent as it gets. So if she brings her best game, I think we're going to see her remain champ. But Rose always puts on awesome fights.
How you get your girl Cynthia ready for something like that? So that's what she got to see to become a champion.
Oh man, Cynthia's been ready. She's been ready for a long time. Now I'll tell you right now, Cynthia's no joke on the feet. She's nasty, sparring with the dudes and landing heavy hands. But her ground game, there's not a girl that can touch her on the ground. Absolutely. Joanna, I don't think has faced anything like that. Yeah, even with going and practicing on the daily. I mean, there's levels to this shit, and Cynthia's on a different level when it comes to that.
I like her mentality. Like me, I'm 6'5", 265-pound brother. She's like, I'll fight you for an effing hot dog. The first time I seen her, because she was cutting weight, I'm like, this lady's about that life. And then she goes off, she makes weight, and then finishes the chick in like 2 minutes. I'm like, and then she gets called for the UFC like 2 weeks later.
No, she's a savage, man. Cynthia's no joke. I mean, when you think about, I always think about people that love to fight, just enjoy fighting, like to get punched, like to punch back, like it gritty, and rub their face in the mat. They don't really care. And Cynthia's that to a T. She's a gym rat. She's a savage. So I know the champs have that as well. But Cynthia's she's been getting that title.
Beautiful. Look forward to it.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. We greatly appreciate it, brother. Thanks for being a friend, personally and professionally. Greatly appreciate it, brother.
You got it, man. Congratulations, guys, on the show, and I hope it's doing well.
Welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast. We got our first world champion in the world, the pound-for-pound king of UFC right now, Demetrius Johnson. Thanks for coming on with me and Matt. So how's it feel to be at top of the USA landscape?
It feels like, like I did 2 years ago. I'm just enjoying life, spending time with family and kids, and just trying to help them. That's all I'm focused on.
Now that you got the records, how do you keep challenging yourself to stay motivated? Is it just finances? Because I know you take it very serious for providing for your family and stuff. Or is it just the love for the sport? Because every time we see you, you get better when, like most people get your spot, they get complacent. You seem to get better, and the gulf between you and the rest of the pack gets bigger and bigger. That's just something you thrive off of.
Yeah, for me, when it's time to fight, I focus on fighting, and then when I've got my fight, I don't really focus on, building my landscape or what's next, and like that. I still train in the gym, and I love learning, and I got great coaches backing with that curtain. But, right now I'm focused on other things in life, and then when I get back in the gym and start focusing on my next fight, just that much happier, maybe I can have a good performance.
Do you have any news, or have you, spoken with the UFC about who your next opponent will be?
Nope, I haven't spoken to anybody. Don't care to. Not even worried about it.
Got you. I mean, do you have any idea of, like, as far as when you want to get back in the octagon, though?
Probably March. That's what I'm going to do. March. I'm sure the rest of the year, not worry about anything else. Just do that.
Mighty Mouse, what do you think about when you hear your name come up, when people, not necessarily calling you out, but looking at you as money fights now? Because I'm pretty sure you heard that Cody said on the UFC 217 conference call that he plans on beating TJ and moving down and facing you in a money fight. He says it's just business.
I don't think anything of it, because you guys don't know what real money is when it comes to real money fights, But that doesn't bother me. When it comes to that, I'm sure me and Clay can sit down and we can talk about it. You want to know what a real money fight is? Or a huge fight. Because if you really want the money, I can teach you a couple. Not teach you a couple. We can talk about something and get it to a point where it will be our money fight.
And I guess, both guys have actually called you out between Cody and TJ. I mean, can you give us your thoughts on that fight, and who do you think will come out victorious?
I can't give you my thoughts. I really did that 25 minutes ago, and I explained for why I don't do it. But it's going to be tough for both those guys. They're both great fighters.
Absolutely.
So what will you be doing in New York this week?
I'm just chilling. I'll be doing some supplementary PCS. I'll have an appearance at Buffalo Wild Wings. There's a big announcement from EA Sports on Electronic Arts. So I'm just be doing over everything. You got the Demetrious Purple Couch. A lot of big things in New York.
What's the side of that because you're very private, like you about your business, you go about, always have a workman-like mentality. What's some things about you that the general person would know that you like them to know that they wouldn't know about you that makes you the champion and the great person that you are?
I would say, it's very hard because I kind of offbeat. I'm very upfront about things. I think there's not one thing that nobody doesn't really know about me. I play video games. I'm a nerd. I like comics. I like Mega Man. Here's one. I haven't been really into fashion, but lately I've been really loving getting into fashion. I've been really enjoying Ted Baker and putting colors together, especially in the nerds. I'm always kind of very patient with me when I ask me, does this look good? Does this look good? I'm wearing this correctly. That's probably something you really know about me.
Here's a two-part question. So when we see you suited and booted at press conferences now, now I won't call you like Connor, but throwing on some 2- and 3-piece suits. And how much does your family play in your success? The fact that you take so serious to provide for your wife and your 2 kids.
Well, one, if someone's gonna give me a Bible to me, yes, I'm gonna buy down the suit. I don't, I'm gonna put that on my kids, savings or college savings fund or whatever. And yeah, that's a big thing about mixed martial arts. And this is, let's get back to the whole, the Cody, the money. Like people say, oh, it's the money fight, it's the money fight. This is the thing, you think Conor McGregor got to a point in his career where he was making $1 million payday or $2 million payday by just the UFC saying, hey, we want you to fight this guy, and he just said, yes, let's do it. No, that's not how he got there. Because you want me to fight this guy? You want me to do this? Perfect. Just pay me $2 million and make the fight happen. And that's why he got that big payday. So that's what it's about. It's about making sure when I'm done with the sport that my wife and my kids are taken care of, not me leaving the sport and not be able to do certain things and be able to financially. And that's the thing. Like, I've learned from every single person, like Swanson said something when he was 80, he said, every single time he fights, he should be on the bat house. That's how he feels. That's how he feels his work is. Not necessarily feel my not. That's what his work is, but that's what his work is. And so you listen to every single person that pops just the MMA fighter or just a professional athlete, and you hold on to those bits and pieces. That way, when it comes to the point in your career, when you can make an option or a change or make something happen for the benefit of your family and the success of your family, that way you can never worry about financial everything your risk. You take that and you maximize on that as much as you can. So at the end of the day, the sport's going to get something from you, and you got to make sure you get something from it.
The UFC the other day, they tweeted out a little picture with Joanna Jędrzejczyk and her quote about her using to have to fight for negative money, like fighting for free, basically. And your concerns with wanting to get paid, make sure your family is safe and secure, and talking about all the big money fights and everything like that. Do you wish that there's a way that maybe the pay arrangement for fighters were different? Or is it just like a necessary evil, and that's just the nature of the game right now?
I think that's the evil. We've gone in there, when I fought probably maybe twice, maybe 3 times, if I, didn't knock right. It's just part of the game, necessarily people don't know how to regulate such training camps, if you're the teammates, if you're the training partners, then they got MRI, medical partner, my first fight in WC. My pay was 3 to fight, 3 to win. My MRI was $3,000 because I got to fight in California. I lost that fight, and then my MRI cost $3,000, so I came out negative. Granted, Reed Harris, they gave bonus checks. I checked for $5,000, but you might have to think about the amount of psychology students, so you might be able to walk out with maybe $1,300, maybe $3,000. That's just hard to get the stuff. But that's just necessarily what we're doing when you get to a point where you're able to make money. You have to start with that, because all it takes is one fight, one blow knee, and next thing you know, you're in financial, trouble.
Absolutely. If I could get you, like, what would be the one thing that you could change in MMA, like whether it be rules set inside of the cage or, you know, an external issue outside of the cage, whether it be like fighter pay or something like that? What would be the one thing that you would want to change if it was Mighty Mouse fighting championships?
You know, it's hard if I never take a step back from my sport and look into it as a promotion of how I run it. So that's one thing I really cannot, you know, give a legit answer on. But as right now, I think you're doing a good job and hopefully keep getting better and we can see the control.
So what do you see? How long do you see yourself fighting in the cage? Do you have a plan? Will we see you like Anderson be 40 and still doing your thing, or you have a time like not past this age? I want to see my kids or more, or are you just gonna play it by ear?
I said that before, and I feel like it was like 5-6 years, and then we'll play it by ear. I mean, I think I live a healthy lifestyle. I mean, I haven't taken much damage for the last couple of fights, so as long as my body holds up and I'm happy and I'm still enjoying it, so I'll keep going. But I still have about 5 years, 5 to 6 years.
Got you. Do you study future challengers? Like, for instance, like, as you know, there's nobody on the roster that's done what you've done, but do you think, like, there's somebody in their early 20s that we don't even know about that's training to be the next DJ, or, hey, they want to catch you when you're 35, 36, and they're going to be 24, 25. Do you think that far in advance in the big picture?
No. I literally, when I get the contract, then I start watching fantasy, then I start studying. Other than that, I don't study anybody. I just do me.
You know, I was watching your Twitch stream the other night, and you were talking about one of the amateur fighters that, you know, started working and his cardio, you know, wasn't as good and all that stuff. Has there been any fighters that have reached out to you to try to, you know, kind of pick your brain on certain things, and, you know, maybe somebody that's not quite at the UFC level yet that's trying to get in there?
Just my teammates. You know, my teammates go out and the fighters and I'll have full-time jobs. So, and they don't really care to be a CEO. They just care about winning and learning and stuff. So that's a lot of people. I don't really talk to other, you know, UFC fighters that aren't on the same level or at the UFC level. The only people I talk to is just me. I don't really that's about it. And that's Holloway.
Gotcha.
Black Hole and EP, you know, guys. But we're only ashamed by training people, things like that.
Okay. And, you know, like I said, I was watching your Twitch stream the other night. I do have to know, I couldn't tell if you were joking or not when you said this, but do you really dislike bacon?
Bacon, yeah, I don't like bacon. I don't like bacon.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. Was there a bad experience? Do you just not like the taste? What's going on here?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of bacon. That's never been a fan of bacon. So conflict in this
Miles, will we ever see you fight on the Eastern time zone on a consistent basis?
Not if I have anything to do with it. If I have something to do with it, absolutely not. I love fighting West Coast. I'm a West Coast dude. Literally, I'm going to UFC 17. The main card doesn't start to 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, that is fucking stupid. But I have 2 kids. I'm a grown ass man. And I can imagine going to the day at 10 o'clock at night and then getting out at 2 a.m. in the morning. Like, I just don't. That sounds funny. That sounds appealing to me. So that's just me. I'm a Debbie Downer or an old man. But I love the things that I play at 7 and get done by 10:30. That sounds more appealing to me. Like, well, that's my shit. I think it's starting at 5 and I get done at 7. That sounds amazing to me. Should I go make it home before fucking the 9 o'clock news?
Well, you know, we know you have your spot, the Chateau, for your after parties and stuff like that. Do you think somebody one day is going to get offended? Like, man, he's already planning his after party before we even fight, or that's just part of you why you are the man and that's having a championship mindset?
No, I'm talking to smart man and optimizing your money you can make. You know, fighting Vegas, you can ask like you can make a couple more grand or a few more bucks in Vegas or anywhere. So it's not, you know, looking ahead, and it's not, you know, celebrating the win. It's about celebrating, you know, the journey you get to this point, celebrating your coaches, celebrating your teammates, celebrating your fans and things like that to support you. That's where I look at it more. I don't really go to an after party and, you know, whoa, we got to get you good, and do this, you know, things to get everything out.
So, DJ, I mean, obviously this weekend, UFC 217, the return of GSP. And, you know, the reason why he stepped away has kind of been interesting to me. You know, he said, like, you know, the pressure was getting to him. Have you ever had that kind of moment, or have you just been, so focused on making sure you can earn the most money? Have you ever had that moment where the pressure was like too big on you?
No, not really, because literally, I'm an underdog. I jump in the scene, I do my thing, and I jump out, and I get back in the shadows, and like you said before we started the podcast, I was talking to my son. Before I jumped on this podcast, I was on a very important phone call by my house. Dinner being made downstairs, so when they this podcast, I gotta go downstairs and get time ready to eat breakfast at dinner, and when sit down at family time. So literally, when I go family time, I focus on sitting down on life, and after that's done, then I focus on building my stream and learning new content, working on my combos, so mom was kind of in it. And then, when I had time, I was thinking about, then I started thinking about fighting. And I think that's very hard for people to realize that's how my brain works, and I'm able to go to octagon and beat people who think they've been born to be UFC champions, they were born to be successful mixed artists. So that's how my mind works, man.
I think you may have like a potential coaching thing there. You could do some mental coaching to help people separate that. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's something I could do it, but then I have to look at how much time I spend with my family, how much time I spend away from what I want to do. But I mean, if it's a person I truly like and I want to work with, then I'm not going to happen. But as of right now, I'm more focused on myself, my family, my coaching, and my second career.
When you hear people call you the GOAT of MMA, how does that make you feel? Is it something that you embrace as your legacy gets bigger, or you something that you're not going to think about until you hang up the gloves once and for all?
Yeah, I won't think about that. I've been called the GOAT, top number one. Back and forth, John Jones come take it, then I'll do the back and forth. So I'm putting stock into it because I'm focused on myself and moving my career outside of it, mixed martial arts, and so down my family. I mean, that's what people think I just do with.
And as we know, there's not that many people of African American descent that watch the sport or fighters. Do you take that when you building your whole Mighty Mouse package into account that you're kind of on the stage and representing, since that there's a small minority in this growing sport that could look completely different 15, 20 years from now? You're really coming from, but I don't really look at it that way, being African American or whether, Caucasian, Japanese, Filipino, Latinese, it doesn't really matter. I just focus on, what I can do and be able to hope I can leave a great impact on the sport I care myself, and hopefully other fighters or other potential future fighters care their self-esteem or that better.
DJ, what's the best advice you've ever gotten in your career, whether it be from a coach or from, anyone that's influenced your career?
Here's the save your money, and all I have to do is make weight and go fight outside. Those are the three best advice I got as far as other advice, get an education, and have a good paying job before you start fighting.
Wow, that's pretty good advice. That's pretty sound advice.
Are you in any other sports like football or anything? We know you're in Seahawks country. Are you part of the 12s?
Yeah, I like the football in general. I like the the last thing to play was actually amazing. Russell came through, Bill Ballin came through, Jimmy Graham came through to behind the rest of the Seahawks. Other than that, I saw both others that was better. I know it was a team that I think that Los Angeles Rams, they're 5-2. So I know it's fine. It's much like them. It's fun. I know better now. Not really, not really do that much and looking at that freaking Panthers or anything like that.
Hey, enjoy New York, man. I wish I would be out there. Kendrick would be out there. I had to miss this New York trip, so.
I'll definitely hit you up. Maybe I could hook up with you before Friday, because I know it get busier as the week goes on. It's gonna be crazier since they're gonna be pulling you everywhere.
Oh yeah, I'm busy. The only time I got off is Wednesday night, and I'm going to try with the wife. The only time I have off, I'm kicking it with the wife, and I'm going shopping.
We're gonna see you with some more threads. We're gonna see you in a cool suit at the fight on Saturday.
No, look at this. I mean, for my gig, I have to work on Saturday. I'll be in the suit. Other than that, no suit.
Hey, one more question before we get out of here. Do you have anything in the pipeline, as far as video game stuff? Like, do you have any big releases or anything that you're working on? Any projects?
No, that comes on Thursday, so we'll see Thursday in New York. So you get to see that.
Ah, so that's okay. All right, we'll see. We'll see Thursday. Cool, man.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it, DJ. And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, the pound for pound best fighter on the planet today, without any controversies, no PEDs, no outside the cage drama. As you can see, he's a family man, talking to us while he's attending his kids at the same time. That's how he do. Hey,
yeah, that's how he lives, man. If you ever watch his Twitch stream, that's how it is, man. You see it like he is what he is. Like, he doesn't put on airs for anybody. He doesn't play it up. You don't see him doing the Colby Covington. You don't see him doing anything outside of what he is. He's just like, with Demetrius Johnson, it is what you get. So, he's a real dude through and through. And like you said, he's a family man, worried about taking care of his family, making sure they're set, and just taking fighting as it is, man. I'm really impressed with how, I've heard him say it before in previous interviews, but just how he's able to separate everything. Most fighters can't do that. And I think that's a huge key to his success. All right, guys, to close out the show for you today, we have another guest, our third guest on this episode, my man, José Youngs. What's going on, man? Fan-sided Sports Illustrated.
What's up, guys? Happy to main event the Slip and Dip podcast. I know DJ and Urijah were great prelim taste for you guys, but as Connor says, the real main event's here.
Oh, my goodness. Shots fired. I'll let you handle that. They'll both be out in New York this week, along with you and Kendrick. So hopefully they don't hear that. We might have some words in the streets to go back and forth.
Find me.
Man, I've kind of just literally got after talking to you, right? I think I got my mind switched. I'm going Cody, JJ, and Bisping.
What do you say? So let's break it down. I guess you want to let's start at the Johanna Rose fight.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick fights. And I say early, and it's not that early, but I always like when I go to cover fights that is in person, I like to talk to the person in person or see how they're handling fight week before I like make an official prediction. I think talking to someone face to face is a good sense of where they're at leading to a fight, and I don't get to New York till Wednesday, so I hadn't even thought about it. But I mean, it's hard to go against what Kendrick said. I mean, it's hard to go against JJ. She's she's not technically the only strawweight champion, but you consider her the only strawweight champion when she put that beat down on Carla. And I believe if she wins, she ties Ronda.
She pass her?
She ties it. She ties Ronda.
Ronda. So, I mean, it's hard to say. And she's not like she's sneaking by. I mean, she's dominating every single woman put in her path. Rose is an orthodox. She does have 3 losses. She did lose in her last championship fight. So it's hard to pick against JJ. So I'll go with JJ. I don't think she's going to finish Rose. I don't know how you can finish Rose unless you choke her out. And I don't think JJ is going to choke her out. So I'll go JJ. I'll pick TJ just so I could go have one against Kendrick so we can have some sort of conversation. I think TJ actually beat Dominic Cruz, but that's one of those fights
I agree with you. I had the same way. I had 3-2. I had him still in that last 5th round because he controlled the pace in the first part of the 5th round, and he did enough to win. I think the 5th round he got robbed.
Yeah, and it's one of those fights where when Dominic, they did read the scores, like you can't really complain. It was so close. I don't think it was a robbery, but I thought I had TJ winning 3-2, but it's not one of those fights you can really call out the judges for getting it wrong. And then he's looked great his last few fights, but Cody's obviously looks better than ever. He easily beat Dominic. There's no debate about that. But there's all these conversation about like TJ going to all these new camps, creating his new camp. Muscle Farm obviously closed Team Elevation, so you got to wonder where he's at in terms of his team. You haven't seen Dwayne Ludwig on Embedded yet, so you got to be wondering where he's at for TJ's camp. And Cody's right where he's always been, Team Alpha Male. Whether Justin Buchholz is with him or not, that's a different question. I'm sure you guys talked to Urijah about that, but I'll go with TJ just because everyone I've talked to is picking Cody. Just because it's hard to pick against the champion, especially after a performance like that. But I'll pick TJ just because I want to be different.
I just kind of I added that the mental aspect and a lot of the little things because the back injury kind of got me leery. You don't just get cock on the back and just come back and busting people's ass. That's just almost physically impossible. No matter what sport. Look at J.J. Watt football. Won't see that guy no more. Won't be no 18, 20 years seasons.
Well, I don't know about that, but I see your point.
He'll just get cracked in the back and hey, I'm gonna come back and start whooping some ass.
Right. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a good fight. I mean, this is for me, this is the hardest fight to pick on the whole card. Probably one of the hardest fights to pick all year, honestly. So.
I believe this is the main event. When we were at 209, we were all excited for Tony and Khabib, and I said then I think the only fight that you could compare Tony and Khabib to would be TJ and Cody because it's like the two best. Like it's not. There's not. You don't need trash talks to that fight. They're just easily the two best fighters, and they're super high level martial artists. So this is, I think, similar to that, where Cody and TJ and Dom are like that triangle of the three best fighters, and they're all going to fight each other. And Cody and TJ have that former teammates. They're both in the physical prime of their careers, and I think this is the main event. I mean, for as much as we're going to get in the main event, where it's kind of like I don't want to call it a freak show, but it's one of those weird. Should this fight actually be happening? But TJ and Cody are easily 1 and 2 in that division.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I mean, for the record, I'm gonna go with Garbrandt. I mean, I'm just gonna go with them. Back injury and everything aside, Urijah kind of helped. You know, he said he got through the whole camp with no issues. You know, I don't know if he's trying to hide anything. You know, it's pre-fight. You know, after the fight, we always find out, he was going to deal with this.
My shoulder.
You know, all this stuff comes out after the fight. Because you're trying to sell the fight. You want to make sure you guys, seems like he's got the greatest shot. Nobody's going to do the pre-fight excuse. But I'm going to roll with Garbrandt for now. I think I tweeted that out earlier today, too. Subject to change later in the week. Of course, once I see you two guys out there getting coverage, media day, seeing the reactions to your questions and everything might sway it in another direction. But we'll see. What about the main event? Bisping, GSP, who you rolling with, Jose?
This one is hard. I've gone back and forth. It seems like when this fight was first announced, everyone was picking GSP, and I kind of got the sense that it was one of those, people were just kind of had that rosy-colored vision where, GSP's coming back, and they're expecting the GSP of old where he just runs through everyone. But in the last week or so, I've seen a shift where everyone seems to be not only picking Bisping, but I'm hearing a lot of people say Bisping is going to just run through him. And the only thing GSP has is that jab, and he's not going to be able to get the jab on Bisping because Bisping's been active. GSP hasn't fought since November 2013 when he and I'm going to say beat in quotes, when he beat Johnny Hendricks.
that was a robbery. You talking about that wasn't a robbery? Now that was a robbery.
Yeah, that one was tough for me. I watched it live, and I thought GSP won. I watched it cage side, but then I watched it on TV, and I thought Johnny Hendricks won. And since then, in the back of my mind, I always just considered Johnny Hendricks won that fight. This one is hard. If this was a welterweight, it might be a different story. But if GSP had gone right into this fight after the Johnny Hendricks fight, I would obviously pick Georges St. Pierre because you could make an argument he's the greatest. I don't think there's an argument against him being a top 3 fighter of all time. But 4.5, almost 4 years on the sideline, almost 4 years exactly. Had that knee surgery in his off time, has been in movies.
Two knee surgery.
Yeah, and on the first embedded, he didn't look in that good of a shape. I mean, everyone remembers GSP being like this physical specimen at welterweight. He didn't really look like the GSP of old on embedded, and yeah, he's putting on 15 pounds, but it looks like it's not a healthy 15 pounds.
Wow.
It's like he's bulking up instead of doing he doesn't look like a middleweight. He's not a middleweight. It looks like he's just a blown out middleweight like Johnny Hendricks is right now. So, but it's tough. I want to say George just because everyone is saying Bisping.
Gotta be contrarian.
I always try to play devil's advocate, especially when there's such a heavy favor. This one is so split, but I said Bisping was going to win when they first announced it, and I hate flip flopping so much, so I'll go with Bisping.
Okay. Here's my thing with GSP: for the 4-year layoff, it wasn't like he was knocking out people at welterweight. So we're gonna move to another weight class. We don't got no power. The 2 knee surgeries, and that man that was beating up on Josh Koscheck and BJ Penn will not be walking through that door Saturday night at MSG. It's not gonna happen.
Nah. And I don't care. Like, yeah, Freddie Roach is a great coach, but
this ain't boxing.
Yeah, he's a boxing coach, and he's one of the best boxing coaches of all time. But I don't know how that's going to translate to someone of George's skill set, where like you say, he doesn't knock people out. He has that jab, but for the most part, he's been grinding people, and I think his last stoppage loss was a submission anyway, or it was like a TKO when he like BJ threw in the towel. That was the last time George fought angry. So who knows? This is a weird fight, but I'll go Bisping. I don't think it's going to be a stoppage. I'm going to say 48-47 Bisping. Do
you think this be either one of them will be back in the octagon after Saturday night? That's the real question for the week.
If George wins, yes, I think he'll fight Robert Whittaker. I think he said he was contractually obligated to fight Whittaker, and I bet you anything George is going to want to fight for that welterweight title. So you saw Conor hold those 2 belts. Fight, get the welterweight title. Like, that's a big if.
He don't want another tyrant though.
Exactly, and then why not fight Conor at welterweight? Like, there's no rules in the UFC nowadays, so make that money. Conor will fight George. He'll sell 5 million pay-per-views, and then they can both retire.
Wow, that'll be amazing. That'd be amazing. I agree with you, though. I think Bisping's going to get it done. There's just too many variables from GSP's side for me to feel confident in picking him. So, I mean, if he wins, I won't say I'd be surprised, but again, like, if I'm trying to make a prediction, I mean, there's nothing that says to me that George should win this fight.
And I think Bisping will retire if he wins. I mean, how do you... And I wouldn't blame him. I mean, he beats Anderson Silva. He knocks out Luke Rockhold. He beats Dan Henderson. And then he beats George St. Pierre. Like, just hang it up. Like, you've beaten 3 of the 4 greatest fighters of all time, and you knocked out the guy who stopped you in the first round. Like, just go out. Just, like, people... I read this article, like, a few weeks ago where it was, like, MMA is the worst sport when it comes to, like, idols, because, like, it was after Machida got knocked out, where he's an idol, and it's never forgiving to, like, the heroes of the world, where everyone goes out on the field, and Bisping should do the opposite. If he wins, hang it up, because no one will end a career like that.
Do you think that put him in top 10 for sure, won't it?
Bisping? Yeah, for sure. If Bisping beats George St. Pierre, he'll be a top 5 UFC fighter ever, arguably top 10 mixed martial arts ever, because I know there's all those Pride guys that never jumped over. But if Michael Bisping beats George St. Pierre, he is undoubtedly top 5, and I'd probably put him the 2nd greatest middleweight behind Anderson.
Yeah. Tell me, but I still think Anderson beat him in that fight. That's why he has an asterisk by that win. And then 2, people don't talk about, me and Matt talked about this, as our man Junior Dos Santos poetically coined, there's no superheroes. When George was in superhero mode, he kind of skipped town when USADA came to town. I just think that's kind of coincidental. And the fact that he never came back, and then he started playing, and then Conor kind of came and changed the game. But I think USADA came to town, that scared him, and the fact that he was scared of Anderson Silva. I got people from his camp that said that he, at that time, not today, but that Anderson Silva in the yellow shorts, pre-Reebok, front kicking people, he didn't want none of that in his life.
Yeah, and Anderson is a huge middleweight. I mean, he's 6'2". Yeah. Anderson and Rockhold are 2 of the bigger middleweights. I mean, Yoel is a physical freak, but he's not that tall. Robert Whittaker's like 6 feet. He's former welterweight. He went up because he couldn't cut the weight, but Anderson's like, 6'2", 6'3". That's taller than most heavyweights nowadays. I mean, that's taller than Randy Couture. Randy Couture was a heavyweight champion. Yeah. And George is 5'10", 5'11", I want to say, and George once said it would be easier to cut to 155 than it would go up to 185, and Anderson walks around at like 210, 205 and cuts to 185, so I don't blame George for not wanting to fight a heavyweight when he's basically a lightweight, but at the same time, that's a fight that we'll never get to see. I don't think they'll ever book that, and I wish that happened when they were in their prime.
What other fight on this card is really catching your eye? I mean, there's some solid matchups throughout, but what's the other fight you're looking forward to?
I mean, everyone's gonna say Thompson Masvidal, so I'm not gonna say that.
I knew it.
I hate doing that. I'm really excited for James Vick and Joe Duffy. James Vick, one of your Texas boys.
Yes.
But he's on like I know he lost to Dariush by knockout, but he's like what 5-1, 6-1 in the UFC, and he's not squeaking out decisions. I mean, he's submitting and knocking people out. I've always had my eye on him. He's like, if you see him, he's a lightweight, but he's like 6'1". He's a massive lightweight, and he's fighting Joe Duffy, who obviously, people say he beat Conor, and they lost to by Poirier, but he looked great against Poirier.
Yes, he did.
Had that submission. So, in terms of like fighters taking the next step in their careers, I think James Vick versus Joe Duffy, and it's a free fight. It's on FS1. So
he promoting. What do you think about that Ovince St. Preux and that Corey Anderson scrap on prelims?
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. OSP is a southpaw. Corey Anderson is, I believe, is a orthodox. He's a wrestler. OSP is I don't even know how to describe Ovince St. Preux's fighting style. I mean, he comes out with like those windmill punches, and I don't think he's gonna get another Von Flue choke. But I said that the last time, and he got a Von Flue choke. So I think OSP wins. He's one of those fighters where he likes to stick close to home in Tennessee, fights at like a local gym, and everyone always said like, oh, if OSP went to AKA, he could be a champion. But he's loyal to Tennessee, so respect. But OSP always seems like one of those guys that could be better than he was. But so I'll pick OSP.
Yeah, man. I think I don't know. If I had to make a pick, I'm going to guess OSP on that one. I mean, he just always finds a way to end up in side control, and his opponent always finds a way to wrap his arm around his neck, setting up the Von Preux choke. I mean, it's just like it seems like it's predetermined at this point, the way it's happened so many times. I don't know.
Better.
I just hate the fact that this is the second fight of the card. It's a top 10 light heavyweight matchup, and it's the second fight on Fight Pass.
OSP's taking this on short notice, right? Wasn't Anderson supposed to fight? Who's the coffee guy, the barista, the one that stepped up on
Pat Cummings? Yeah,
Cummins. Yeah, so supposed to fight Cummins. I think Cummins got like a gnarly staph infection or something. So
and that happened multiple times. Did he have one like last year?
Yeah, I mean he's a wrestler, so he's always good. I feel like he has a of it. So OSP this on short notice. I feel like if they had booked this fight anyway, it would be on FS1, but it's on Fight Pass. If there's a reason you're thinking of getting the free trial Fight Pass for this fight, I mean that fight alone should be good enough for that.
Absolutely.
Well, Jose, were you last year 205?
I was not at 205.
I'll say that was the best UFC fight week I've been to. We had people getting chairs pumped. We just got people getting pumped at the press conference on Thursday, only to get knocked out on Saturday. We were at the Garden. I just want to know, are you pumped to be in the Apple? Like, I'm pumped, but it's like, to me, it's like, there's no way we're going to top the original last year. It was like once a lifetime bottled up.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Northeast. I grew up near Boston, so Madison Square Garden is I always felt like enemy territory to me because I grew up a Celtics fan.
Oh, see, I'm like, Freddie, you got off my show now.
Yeah, so I went to the Forum for UFC 199. That was kind of cool because that is enemy territory for me. All those old school like Celtics highlights at the Forum and the Garden. So I am excited to just go to MSG in general. I went there for 169. They had all the media day that was the Aldo Lamas and Barao Faber was in New Jersey though, but they did all the media at MSG. So I'm actually excited to sit at MSG and watch an MMA fight because I missed out on it last year, was not missing out on it this year, and the weather should be better from what I hear than last year.
Absolutely. What do you have planned for the pre-fight during the week? Anything big planned?
Oh man, I mean this is probably the busiest fight week I've had. I mean they're gonna do a teaser for the UFC E game from the next EA UFC game from what I hear.
Hey, not to cut you off. What does Monty Mouse have to do with it? We had him when we had him on the show just tonight, about 45 minutes ago, and he wouldn't tell us that we got a big game unveiled. So what's that big story right there? He wouldn't tell us. He teased it, but he wasn't telling us.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I keep hearing about it. I don't know 100%. I guess I keep hearing rumors that they might have a trailer or something like during the fight. Like the last one, they debuted the Ronda Conor cover, after Conor knocked out Aldo, they had the cover in the back already waiting for us for the media. So I keep hearing it might be that. I'm not 100%.
I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of exclusive Mighty Mouse fighting adventure type game.
Fight adventure.
Badass.
I think he might be on the cover.
Could be. Hey, it could be the new UFC. Whatever.
About it. I'd be super about it.
Yeah, he's the best fighter in the world right now. Without one thing, do you think people overlook the PED factor? Because for me, it doesn't bother me. But like Anderson's my guy. But then the day Anderson got caught cheating, and people pick and choose. Like people will let Anderson make it, but they won't let somebody like John. Well, John's a bad example because he got multiple times. But somebody that they don't like, they'll sit there and say, "Oh, he was a cheater." Vitor Belfort, da 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 da. And it's like, if you look at, like I looked through this last week, like 7 of the top 12 12 heavyweight champions, light heavyweight, have been popping PEDs in their career. From Machida, Belfort, John.
Yeah.
And then you got people with suspicions like Chuck Liddell and Tito. So it's like, what do you think about PEDs with this sport now?
I mean, it's always the 205 division. It's hard because, like you said, it feels like a lot of the icons of the sport have been popped. But I think that there's a lot, even in those, there's a lot of differences. I mean, Vitor got popped, but he got popped before, and then he looked like you could physically see the difference. I mean, he had lats and triceps, and he looked like the Hulk when he fought Michael Bisping and Rockhold. And then when he got the TRT taken away, he didn't even have abs, let alone lats and crap. Machida didn't look that different, and Anderson, he didn't look like physically bigger when he tested positive. And that was when he was coming off his leg, when he snapped his leg in half. So a lot of people said, "Oh, maybe he used it to gain muscles there." I just think it's different. I mean, like Junior got caught, and I want to see what's happening with that because. A lot of Brazilians are getting caught. Maybe it's just because their nutrition is different. Or
you don't think cheating is cheating?
Yeah, and it's steroids. I don't think they're never gonna catch everyone. But even the ones that are using it, like Machida, got kind of screwed in that whole situation. I mean, he had to sit out a year and a half, and he didn't really do anything wrong. Just like Yoel Romero, he looks physically freakish. He failed. He had the anti-doping violation, and then it turned out to be a tainted supplement. He wasn't even doing anything wrong. He just took something that he shouldn't. He took by mistake, and it didn't benefit him. Like it didn't benefit him like TRT benefited Vitor Belfort. So they're never gonna get it. They're never gonna flush it out of the sport. But I think that just adds to Demetrius Johnson's legacy because he doesn't even take protein, like he said. He gets all his protein from food because he's afraid of taking a tainted supplement. So every cheater that gets caught, I think, just builds Demetrius Johnson up even more.
Beautiful. Yeah, man, I agree. Hopefully, as you saw, it continues on its path, more guys will get caught. But it is what it is. People are going to find a way to cheat, whether it be weight cutting, using steroids, whatever have you. It's just an unfortunate part of the game. But anyways, man, Jose, I appreciate you hopping on for these few couple of minutes.
Hey, I'll hit you up, man. I'll get your number from Matt. Hit you up when we out there. While I'm out there.
100%, boss. I'm sorry about Ezekiel Elliott, Matt. Go back.
Man, don't even get me started about that, man. That season ender, bro.
He'll be back for the playoffs. You guys are gonna come.
We got the hardest 6 games coming up on the schedule right now.
Dak will see us through.
You're not going to win with the Eagles. You'll win the wild card because the NFC is weak right now, and then you'll get Ezekiel Elliott for the playoffs, and you'll be fine.
I hope so. I got my fingers crossed, man. Hopefully this will spell the end for the Roger Goodell era at the very least. But yeah, y'all have a blast out there in NYC. I wish I could make it out there with y'all next year for sure. I'm not missing the MSG show. But yeah, man, thanks for hopping on.
See you, boss.
Peace. That was Jose Youngs joining us here on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Man, we got an action-packed show, man. We got the NYC. We got the best fighter in the world. We have a UFC Hall of Famer. To me, one of the top best. I would put Uriah in the top 10 of all time.
Man, Uriah's up there. He's up there. Definitely Hall of Famer.
So we got legends.
One of my favorite fighters to watch in the history of the UFC. I'll put it that way for sure.
Man,
for sure, absolutely. From everything from the walkout
to the smile, you know, his personality, the way he pumps up his teammates, even on the mic right after he wins.
The people is, I think I told you this was like when we first started. Before even the people even knew my black ass, I was just some random brother at the UFC fight. He talked to me and gave my first one-on-one exclusive with anybody with substance with MMA. And we've been cool since that day. I was just some random brother. He's like, man, I don't see people look like you up here. And we've been cool from that day. He's a legitimately good guy. That is awesome. Not an act.
That's legit, man. That's legit. Shout out to Urijah Faber. Shout out to the Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, the champ, the GOAT, the Twitch master, whatever you want to call him, man. The dude's got everything named.
He went it on in and outside the octagon.
Yes, man. Giving us some great insights about separating fighting from life. All that good stuff, man. Can't wait to see him back in the octagon again. Hopefully around March, like you said. José, thanks for hopping on. José Youngs, thanks for hopping on. Kendrick, you two have a blast out there. Let's wrap this episode up. New York to UFC 217, man. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. Please click and subscribe on Simply Did Podcast. We try to give you the real stuff. When people talk about it on that other show that's nationwide, we get the people that they talking about on our show. Just saying.
Yes. Follow us. Follow the show on Twitter at Slip and Dip Podcast. Follow Kendrick at Kendrick Johnson on Twitter. Follow me at Mr. M. Wells Art on Twitter. Subscribe on iTunes, on Spreaker. Yeah, man. Show us some love. Hit us up. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some feedback. We will be back with you guys next week for another action-packed show. Till then, peace.